Welcome to AstroEnergy with astrologer angel Shelley Overton. Hello and good morning. Welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show for April 17th, 2018. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and I'm happy to be here with you today, even though I'm a little bit chilly. You would not believe it's only 63 in Orlando with a high of 77 today, which is gorgeous, but right now it's flipping cold out there. I'm not kidding. It was down to, I think, 49 overnight. That's really cold for this time of year. I mean, I've had years where it's been in the 90s at this time of year. So I'm happy, though. I'm very, very happy because that kind of weather is what I'm used to from Colorado, and I love it because it makes me feel clear-minded and busy and able to tackle whatever I have to tackle in the day. So welcome. If you would like to get a reading, the number is 347-994-3365. And just press the 1 if you would like me to answer your call and answer your question. So let's just see what we have today. Also, you know what? I'm going to, if you, well, you can't hear me. If you can't hear me, you can't go into the chat room and tell me. But anyway, if you can hear me, it would be really great if you could go in the chat room and say, yes, all good. Because I've been having trouble, of course, with my mic last week. And we do have Mercury direct now. Yay. I'm so excited for that. And that happened, when did it happen? Mercury direct was Sunday the 15th and a new moon on Sunday. So I hope you took advantage of that. It was in Aries, and it was also conjunct Uranus, which means really good time for new business deals and planting seeds for a new business. And also, sorry, I just knocked something off on the table there if you heard bang. Let's see. So today we have a moon in Taurus. Actually, I take it back. I don't take it back. It is moon in Taurus because I was looking at Monday. That's why I took it back. But today is Tuesday. We still have the moon in Taurus. It's at 17 degrees Taurus. And we have Venus at 21 Taurus. So they're within 4 degrees of each other right now. And opposite Venus is Jupiter in Scorpio at 20 degrees. So, of course, the moon is also opposite Jupiter at 17 opposite 20. We have the sun at 27 Aries within 1 degree of Uranus today. So what we just had with the moon, the new moon at Uranus, now we have with the sun on Uranus, which is also ego attached to whatever energies we've been dealing with. And I can tell you the energies in Aries are masculine in nature, assertive, and if you listen to the show, you know, living out here in the country, I have all the big pickup trucks and the four-wheelers and the motorcycles going by and the drag strip just down the road and the loudness from that on the weekends and the gun practice. So it's highly male energy out here, and any of those different things I just listed are part of the Aries energy. So it is a concentrated time of seeing that male energy of saying, hey, I'm here. This is what I want to do. And for women, that means it's expressed as assertiveness, as agitation, as combativeness, contrariness. And it's that way for men too, but women being, you know, the receptive feminine side of the polarity, that's how it comes out in their lives. It can also mean, you know, that women are more aggressive or assertive or masculine, traditional masculine, because, you know, times have changed, but traditionally masculine in nature right now. And Uranus doesn't want to be told what to do. So what happens with Uranus and then the sun, which is ego, in Aries, which quite honestly, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So it is about ego. It's about male energy, like pure male energy and ego. That comes out, and we just feel like, too bad. This is how I am. I don't care if you don't like it. I'm going to express myself. It can bring out the tomboy in women too. So yeah, the sun is identity, and Uranus is eccentricity as well. So we're going to see some of these things being expressed in society. We're going to see eccentric ways of looking at things and not wanting to be told what to do. We're going to have, well, actually, also Aries rules blood, so there could be something going on that is unusual in the blood. It's also chemistry, it's science. I'm talking Uranus now, and Aries is the blood. So there may be scientific awareness of differences in the blood. I'm not sure. I was listening to some YouTube channelers talking about DNA shifting right now, and I think that that's also a mainstream thing where we're seeing. I know the man who is up in space, he's an identical twin. He was on this International Space Station. He came back, and it turned out that his DNA had shifted when he was up there, and it was actually different from his identical twin. So, his identical twin, which means that they had the exact same DNA when he left, shifted, and now he doesn't have the exact same DNA. So, it's DNA is kind of something that I think we always think, that's written in stone, it doesn't change, but it actually does change. And I think over the course of the next 8 years with Uranus and Taurus, Taurus rules the body, the physicality of it, along with the earth signs. There's some aspect from all the earth signs ruling our physical experience, but Taurus kind of more specifically rules the manifestation of our body. So how do we integrate our spirit into the physical form? And so it can mean part of our DNA, and the independent parts of our body are affected. And so having Uranus into Taurus, it's going to definitely bring out new and unusual aspects and nuances of the physical body, as well as the earth structure. So, and that coupled, of course, with Pluto and Capricorn is going to also be a tremendous shift around that. Gosh, I hope everybody's still there. So, anyway, because I'm looking at my numbers, it looks like people are still there. But if one just disappeared, if people start disappearing, I'm going to call on somebody just to make sure you can hear me. Okay. Anyway, so we've got Sun Uranus conjunct right now. Of course, Sun goes in on Thursday to Taurus at 11:13 p.m. We have Saturn going retrograde tonight at 9:47 p.m. Eastern, and that's 6:47 p.m. Pacific. That's exactly Venus, which is the last aspect before a void, of course, moon. That happens at 6:05 p.m. Eastern, 3:05 Pacific. And so the Sun conjunct Venus in Taurus, it is about money. It is about love and nurturing and femininity and receptivity and all the things I say about Taurus. Venus rules Taurus. So she's been in Taurus for a little while now. I would say, a couple weeks without having to look it up, but I'll have to look it up. She went in the beginning of April. So, yeah, a couple weeks. And so she's been really bringing out our interest in beauty and the material world and femininity. So it's interesting because she went through the Aries energy, which was very masculine, and she was more assertive, and now she's in her feminine power. But she will be moving into Gemini on the 25th, so 8 days away, just a week and a day. And then she's going to get a little bit more saucy and sassy, and she'll be a lot of fun, actually. And Venus in Gemini is very fun. She's playful energy. And then Moon being in Taurus, again, nurturing is about the home. It's about our land and our property and gardening. I've been gardening, helping a friend garden last weekend and for the last few weekends. So now is the time we'll start to see the flowers bloom, and the spring is really coming in and coming into its own. So that's pretty exciting. Then we have Mercury now direct, bless, hands to the sky. Mercury in Aries, 4 degrees. And so he went all the way back. I think he went back to like 3 degrees or 4 degrees. Let me just see. Because he literally just turned direct. And he turned direct at 4 degrees and 47 minutes. And now he's 4 degrees and 59. So he's very newly direct. He's going to start to pick up speed because he is going to be in Taurus about a little less than a month from now on the 14th of May, which is, again, 14th, 15th, I'm telling you, the middle of May is going to be rocking and rolling on the earth plane. Like, earthquakes and volcanoes, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a major earthquake smack in the middle of May. So I would say probably that's a prediction, and we're going to be getting them throughout the time, and we have been seeing larger earthquakes, but like earth-shattering, destructive earthquakes, like 6, 7, 8, even middle of May. I mean, we have so much going on there. I'll just touch on it briefly here. In the middle of May, the 14th, we have the moon in Taurus. We have Mercury going into Taurus. We have Mars going in at the end degrees of Capricorn, meaning wrapping up an Earth energy, wrapping up an Earth story, going into Aquarius, which is storms. So there's probably going to be some storms coming up right in that 13th through the 19th when all this stuff hits. Uranus goes into Taurus on the 16th, 15th, 16th. And let's see what else. And then just after that, on the 22nd, we have Sun in Gemini, which is an electrical energy. So we're going to get storms. We're going to get electronic issues. We're going to get mental clarity, awakening. We're going to also be dealing with, like I said, earthquakes in the land, chemicals in the land. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear in the next few weeks about some type of chemical spill. Or it wouldn't even surprise me if we found out about certain chemical processes that maybe we kind of knew about but are now getting bigger in the media. So we're going to start to hear about that a lot more this year. And then after the 4 months of Uranus back into Aries, when it goes back into Taurus, and I'm going to just look real quick, 2019, Uranus back into Taurus happens March of next year, March 6th. So the end of the year, we'll see that Aries energy again. Of course, politically, I have my neighbor going by with his bass booming. You probably can't hear it. It's a subtle thing for you, but it's really loud for me. And I can literally hear him a mile away. There he is, finally. Anyway, we still have a bit of that Aries energy going on. So it's making itself heard. And that also is good for taking action and getting our ducks in a row and making sure that our business is, we have that drive to make the business happen. And when Uranus and Mercury and the Sun all go into Taurus, and we're seeing it now specifically, the beginnings of it, we're going to really want to get that, like the retail business is going to happen. We're going to dig in. We're going to set the roots down and water them. And it's really going to flourish at that time. So it's going to be an interesting time because we have ending of this one energy of like extreme motivation and going into this other energy that says, okay, now we've done the drive part. We've forced ourselves out into expressing that energy. Now it's going to come to fruition, and we're really going to start to see things grow and manifest, which is really exciting, honestly. I'm kind of interested to see what it's going to do in my world because not only does it change signs, it changes houses for me. I have it right on my 7th house of marriage and partnership, and I honestly don't really expect much because I'm not in a position to really see anybody here on the east side of Orlando with a lot of families. There's just not a lot of dating opportunities out here, so I don't expect to have anything happen, but you never know. Anyway, we're going to talk about Saturn retrograde because Saturn is retrograding tonight. So I've been feeling it a bit, but honestly, it's also a loosening up of that intensity, a loosening up of that, the teacher telling you what to do and why didn't you get your homework in on time and da-da-da-da-da. It's, that you must do it this way. You have to do this. It's going back. And yes, it is in Capricorn. So as Saturn goes forward through Capricorn, every year we see that retrograde, and it's there for 2.5 years. So we have 2, 3, probably 3 retrogrades in Capricorn. I haven't looked at the last one, but, the last year's, I believe, 2020. I don't know what part it actually retrogrades over, if it's going into Aquarius or it's fully in the end degrees of Capricorn. But 2020 is going to be a rock and rolling year also as far as shifting our mentality. And that's the huge part of this. Capricorn with Pluto at 21. Pluto's already gone through all those early degrees. He's gone through 0 through 21. He's going to retrograde too, or let me see. Yeah, he isn't already retrograded. He retrogrades fairly soon, I think. Let me just look here. Where is it? Okay, April 23rd. So 6 days from now. And hang on one second. I have a tickle in my throat. There we go. Yeah, so on the 23rd, he goes retrograde. So we're feeling him slowing down as well. So with Saturn retrograde, we feel a little bit lighter because Saturn going forward is like, pointing the finger saying, you're responsible for this and you're responsible. And why aren't you being responsible? Because the person who has the Capricorn energy, wherever it falls in your chart, is feeling like they have to own everybody's everything. And so they project out that need to feel responsible into the environment. So really, and I just love the idea of transference and the energy transferring what's going on internally to our environment, expressing it out as a mirror. That's kind of a Buddhist concept, that the world around you really is a mirror of who you are. So when you're pointing a finger, I love this analogy. You have one finger pointing out and three coming back at you. That's really what it is. It's like, why aren't they behaving? Why aren't they behaving? Why aren't they doing what they're supposed to do? Why aren't you following the rules? And I find it coming out in my life in travel and transportation when I'm in the car. It's like, turn on your blinker. Be considerate of other people. So I guess I want to say it is a reflection, but it isn't necessarily always a one-on-one. It doesn't necessarily mean you don't use your blinker. What it means is it's your issue that you care what's going on outside of yourself, and that you have to take a deep look at, why do you care what other people are doing, and why is that your issue? So if you can look at Saturn, both direct and retrograde, in that capacity, like wherever you feel like you're doing all the work and they're not doing any of it, that's where you have the issue. Why do you feel put out? Why do you feel victimized in that area? And I know I have a listener today who I talk to all the time, and she knows that that's something I go through a struggle with all the time. And so that is coming out of our lives right now. As Saturn shifts, we feel, if you're really tuned in energetically, you can feel that pop when things turn around. And you can feel like, oh, the energy shifted. Something's going on. Like I think last week I mentioned that Mercury was, oh no, I didn't, because it happened over the weekend. I had a migraine the night that Mercury was getting ready to go direct. And I do it every time because Mercury is my ruling planet. Mercury rules the Virgo energy in my chart, and it rules my Uranus, which is intense Virgo energy, if you think about it. And so you can pick up on that intensity electrically. And my brain, since I've done a lot more spiritual growth and meditation, is just hardwired to sense that. And I get migraines every time there's a shift. So you may feel it when planets that are strong in your chart as well. So Saturn shifting might mean something's going to break in your world. There's going to be some kind of physical object or house or structural break. And that can also mean an earthquake. Just giving you a heads up, this energy right now, I've said it before, Dutch Sense, DUTCHSINSE on YouTube, he follows the earthquakes, and I never knew there were so many earthquakes in the world continuously, but there are. And he kind of pinpoints them and where they're going to hit and how big they're going to be, which is really the key thing. And so, you can kind of watch that. I haven't watched them in a few weeks, so I'm sure it's probably ramping up right now. And I wouldn't even be surprised if a volcano blew in the near future as well with all this energy. So Saturn retrograde in Capricorn, it's in its own sign. So it is affecting governments, authorities, father figures, structures, the body and the spine, the bones, the joints. I've been having, maybe that's what my energy is here, I've been having my hands really aching for the last day. And like normally I associate that with how much gluten I've been eating in my diet, and it may also be associated with that. And maybe I have more of a desire to eat gluten at that time because my joints, I don't know. But, and I know exactly what does it. It's like French fries, my favorite food. So, you got to avoid those things because the gluten will make your joints ache. But you'll also have heightened awareness of achy joints right now because Capricorn rules the skeletal structure, and that's how we experience this energy. So arthritis and joint pain, back pain, things like that, you'll feel it more. So do your yoga. That's a good way to combat it. And then Mars coming up on Pluto. So this is kind of a combination Saturn retrograde show and what's going on for the week. But because Saturn is within 7 degrees of Mars, I have an 8-degree orb of conjunction. So they are conjunct, and Mars is going up on Pluto. It is about change. And of course, in the next couple days, we're going to have Pluto and Mars butt heads, or not, I should say butt head. Maybe they're going to have a hug. Maybe they're going to have a nice hug and come together in that way, because Mars is going to be going forward and Pluto retrograde, which means they're going to be coming at each other in the sky. And so that happens on the 26th of April. Probably right between the 26th and 27th. I could look it up specifically for those of you who want to know precisely. It actually happens at 7 o'clock a.m. on the 26th, Thursday next week, and 4 a.m. Pacific. So it's right after the void of course moon, between the void of course moon and the moon going into Libra, which is the opposite of Aries. So it's going to be, oh my goodness, there's so many intense aspects going on between now and probably June. And I'm sure after that as well, it's just going to be, with as long as Pluto's in Capricorn and Uranus is in Aries and going back into Aries later on in the year, we're going to have this clash of energies. So know that, those are going to be some pretty intense aspects. And then, of course, the summer has all the Cancer planets, and then December has more Capricorn, and what Libra is October. So those are also peak months for astrological activity around conflict and disagreement. And, until Pluto goes into Aquarius, we're going to see that. Although, Uranus is moving on to Taurus, so that'll be good. And let's see here. So we also have Neptune at 15 Pisces, which he pretty much is just sitting there holding the space at 15. And, that's a pretty intense energy for me because it's literally right on my Pluto and Sun, and it's opposing it, my Pluto and Sun. So, of course, I'm going to be really feeling that kind of dreamy energy opposing my drive to do, which is pretty strong in my chart. And all you Virgos, you're feeling it. And I want to say the ones born in the middle 60s, I think 15 to 17 degrees is also when Uranus and Pluto joined up with each other in Virgo. So that energy, the people born in that era, that year, right around the mid-60s, are going to be feeling this pretty strong as well. I'm going to just do a 1965 ephemeris just to see what we have as I'm sitting here talking. See if I can call that one up. I think it was in March of that year, but I could be wrong. Let's see, 12, 10. Yeah, I'm probably not going to see it really quickly. It could be, no, I take it back. It actually was October of that year. They were conjunct on the 10th of October, 1965 at 17 degrees. So Neptune's moving within 2 degrees of that exact opposition from 65. So if you want to know what the next few years are going to be like thematically, go look up what was going on in the newspapers in 1965, October. And that'll kind of give you an idea now from memory, because I didn't really have a strong memory at 1 year old, but from history, it was big upheaval around sexual revolution. It was when the Beatles and the Stones were really big, and we were, I think, either in or just getting ready to be in the Vietnam War. So, it was a really strong sociological upheaval. Probably going to see some of that too, but again, Uranus conjunct Pluto is about societal upheaval. It's changing the norm. It's changing our view. And in Virgo, it's changing our view around work and how work affects us and what our life purpose is, around the actions and activities and service that we have for people. That's when the Peace Corps came in. Just a little before that with Kennedy, he started the Peace Corps. So, and Uranus and Pluto were kind of dancing with each other for a few years before that too, because they're in my chart pretty close to each other. So we had that energy and service to humanity, because that's what Uranus does. It's about service. So as far as Saturn's concerned, retrograding, it means, I'm going to just synopsize it and then take a quick break so we can take some calls here on the other side. But having Saturn retrograded affects what we see as our life purpose, and definitely going forward in Capricorn, it's been triggering us to really evaluate what we want to do with our lives and what value it is. That's Pluto. Pluto is the value. Are we of value to others? And of course, Jupiter in Scorpio, which I really didn't talk about yet, Jupiter in Scorpio is also asking us to really evaluate if we are getting our needs met from this sense of value to others. Do people appreciate what we're doing? And I can tell you, I definitely have issues around that, having Jupiter in the first house on my Neptune and Moon. It's really intense right now for that scorpionic energy, like values. And then because it's in positive aspect to the Mars-Pluto conjunction, it's really part of our theme also as a society. Are we being valued? What is the deeper story? And then having Saturn move closer and closer to that energy, but then saying, wait a minute, we're going back. He's saying, are we truly doing what we need to be doing for this new energy coming in 2020? And these last 2 years before 2020 hits, we are really reviewing and replenishing our souls and our spirit and the structure of our lives. And if you're doing something that you never thought you'd be doing, or if you're going towards your dream and you never thought you could make it happen, I've got chills for you right now. You are going to do it. It is going to happen. We are in a new energy. The energy is shifting. It's a continuous change. It's a process, because this is such a major, profound change in humanity. This is the story of humanity. This is what we're going through right now. And people, I know that they've had this, I've been reviewing a lot of this stuff over the last week with some different YouTube videos and mediums and things like that. So it's in the forefront of my mind. But we are in this huge shift that takes at least 30 years to shift mentality. It's a generation. We have a different mindset that's emerging, and it takes a while to complete that particular shift. But we are approaching maybe a third of the way through that 30 years, and definitely the next decade are the crux of it. And it is like old school, old mentality towards, in my opinion, it is towards war and what we expect to get from war. And I think as the new generations are born into this energy, they understand it inherently, how it is a different clarity and a different mindset that doesn't work anymore through ego. The ego is shifting to a higher understanding. We are breaking away from survival mentality, which I think wars have been around for so long that mentality, it doesn't work anymore. We've been doing it forever. And what has it done other than shift borders and kill people? That's my personal opinion. I hope I didn't offend anyone, because we are talking astrology, but I'm telling you, astrology is part of society. Astrology reflects what's going on in society, and we are in this huge, huge shift. It is going to affect you personally and energetically in your whole environment. So whatever's going on in your personal life, which I will get to here in a minute, is part of the whole. It's part of the whole picture. You're feeling that awakening. We're all feeling this awakening, and we are all asked to determine where we need to be in our lives to go forward. And Saturn retrograde is saying, is this truly where you want to go? And it's going to give you a review chance. And the first 10 degrees of Saturn are the Capricorn energy. It's the structure of your life. So if you're changing jobs and changing where you're living, changing your partner, changing how you look at money, it's all part of that shift. So that's what we have coming in. And we're going to listen to, let's see, what should we listen to here? I think I'm going to try this little blurb here again. Let's see how it goes. I think you and the moon and Neptune got it right, 'cause now I'm shining bright. Hi, this is Shelley Overton, the host of the AstroEnergy Astrology Show. Each week I bring you lots of information about planetary transits, what to expect in the coming week, and take questions from listeners. If you are interested in donating to continue the benefit of learning all about patreon.com/AstroShelley. That is patreon.com/AstroShelley. Please don't feel any obligation, but I really appreciate you, and thank you so much for listening.
I think you and the moon and Neptune got it right, 'cause now I'm shining bright.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry that blasted at the end. I think my levels are all off on that. So let's go do editing on that, and we'll bring it back another time. So anyway, my name is Shelley Overton. You are listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show on Blog Talk Radio. I'm happy to have you here. I'm so happy to see all our callers are still there, and they didn't fall away because the sound was missing. And if you would like to get a private reading from me, I'd love to do it. My contact information is Shelley@astrologerangel.com, or you can go to the Astrologer Angel website, and that is astrologerangel.com. And also you could try angeliczodiac.com and get the same information over there. So let's see who we have online waiting for a call. We've got 901. Hi, 901. How are you?
Hi, Shelley. This is Lanice. How are you?
Hi, Lanice. I'm doing well. It's good to hear from you.
You too.
Tell me how you've been handling all this retrograde energy.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
You don't? Oh, it's been pretty good?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I can't call it. It's just been, I don't know what it is, menopause. I've just been going through a lot lately for the last year or so. Yeah.
Wow. What can I do for you today?
I'd like to know anything that pops up in a reading, but I'm kind of concerned about how Chiron is affecting me moving into Aries. It's been in my 7th house, and I want to know if there's anything different going to happen with that. With
well,
this wounded healer.
Yeah, Chiron, that can bring out, again, it's bringing out some of the aggressive energy, like where, okay, so let me clarify. So Aries energy, when you're dealing with people, the translation to people, Aries wants to have a fight. It actually gets their blood racing and it makes them feel alive. So probably the rest of us, with maybe the exception of Scorpio, just they don't have that same view of the fighting energy. It's competitiveness in sports and things like that, and it makes them feel alive. So when most other people get into fights, they're like, oh, it's so uncomfortable. I hate fighting with people. I want to run away, blah, blah, blah. And that's also the Libra energy. Aries actually thrive on the fight. They like it, enjoy it, and stoke the flames. So that can happen. And I forgot, I'm sorry, are you in a relationship or not? I apologize for not memorizing that, but it's kind of hard with a lot of callers.
Still not.
Okay. Okay. Well, it is masculine sexuality. So, if you have, and also the energy of Mercury rules neighbors. So there might be somebody in your neighborhood that has noticed you. And at this time, I would honestly let Mercury get a little bit farther away from Chiron, because Chiron is, like, somebody comes in now, it is a Chiron lesson for you. It could be a long lesson, because I would say, well, other planets will go through there before Neptune gets to that point. So Neptune doesn't go into Aries for, I think, into the 2030s. So it's a real long time. So it is an area of your chart that's going to be triggered for, well, let me see. Let's see if I can find out how long Chiron will be there. I don't know if my tables actually show it. Aries, you have it till 14 degrees. It's like years. So I would say for at least another decade you're going to have it there. So what it does is going to affect you in your sense of self within the relationship. So whoever comes in, they're going to probably be someone who will either be an Aries type person as a reflection of you, or will bring out that in you. So that is the energy. you're learning about the wounding around expression of yourself within the relationship and asserting yourself within the relationship. That's really what it speaks to in your chart. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it just deals with, it can deal with emergencies. It can deal with, any of the, I mean, I feel like I repeat the list so often, when I do this show. I guess repetition helps people who haven't learned about astrology yet. But, I don't want to bore the listeners by saying it again, but it is emergency workers, it's construction workers, it's asserting yourself, it's motivation, self-interest, and self-promotion. So whatever deals with your sense of self within a relationship, that's what's going to be the area you have the potential to get wounded in. Okay? The other side of it, though, is that Neptune is still kind of transiting over your natal Chiron, which may amplify that energy, and you're more sensitive to it, and you're like, for you, your natural intuition about what's going on. I want to tell you, this is an interesting side note for you particularly. You have an intuitive sense about when things are going to hit or what's going to go on, because for your marriage and partnership house, your natal Chiron falls in the 12th house to that, which is your 6th house. It's the subconscious house to relationships and partnerships. So that, it's like a heads up to what could come. And Neptune's right there. And I've said this, I think, recently, that Neptune on Chiron is like, it's trying to say there, it's going to be okay. Because Neptune is very universally accepting energy. And on your Chiron, where you're really deeply wounded and it never heals, Neptune's kind of going, it's okay, I'm here, I understand. So it's probably, in my view, one of the few transits that's actually going to be soothing to your Chiron. Definitely Chiron in Pisces means that your natural ability to understand things is challenged, and that's where you are. That's where you were wounded, is in your intuition and your second sight of how things really are. And Neptune going through that area means that we're all experiencing that same sensitivity. So it's kind of like we're seeing people awaken to that side of themselves, and that's where you've always been. So that's why Neptune can be a little bit healing, even though they say Chiron's never healed. Having exposure to that with that particular planet, I think, can feel better. When Neptune retrogrades might be a little bit more of when you'll feel the slap. So this year, because Neptune becomes much more pragmatic and practical, and that's when you can go, oh, but you have a retrograde Chiron. So literally that energy is what you're more used to, but it's also probably what hurt you, is that feeling of not being able to be in that soft, warm, fuzzy place where it's really cozy, but having to always be in that learning the lessons and having the eyes open from the illusion. And it's like you're always getting disillusioned, is what I'm saying. And that falls in your house of work and service. So when you try to help people and you have like this total, I'm doing it because I see the higher nature of your being, and then they turn around and don't appreciate you or turn on you, or there's something that you didn't realize because you're so universally loving of those people, then they act in their ego, and then bam, you get slammed. So your natal Chiron can do that to you. It's in the house of work and service, and that's how it can express there, that you just get blindsided by people's like the nature on earth versus their higher nature that you naturally see, because you have this Chiron that just is like, but I love you for who you truly are. And they're like, yeah, well, I don't see that side of myself. I only see the ego side. Boom. Does that all make sense to you?
Yes, that's what I'm going through now. It's like I feel disillusioned and like I don't really know what's going on when I thought I did, but I really don't. It's like I'm learning all over again. I feel like a little toddler or something. Even with my mother's passing, it's so confusing. I thought I knew what death was, and I'm still trying to figure out where is she.
Aw. Spiritually,
where'd she go?
In the ethers? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have that for a bit. Go ahead.
it's kind of holding up my moving forward with her passing, because I was questioning myself. It's like, well, it's like I got to have an answer. I got to really know where she is, that she's okay. Somebody told me the other day, well, she's asleep. And then, there's the other school of thought that she's alive. She just doesn't have a body. So I'm kind of confused with all of that and a lot of things.
Well, I do know.
Which I thought I knew all of these things, but it's like, okay, well, you really don't.
You know that some people, I believe this, that some people do have such heavy stress in their lives and whatever they go through belief-wise, when they transition, I've heard a lot of psychics and mediums. I have one in particular that I know. I've listened to her for 8 years. And there is a period for certain people where they are kind of fogged over on the other side, and because we have to come down to the earth plane, we have to lower our vibration to be physical, and when we go back to non-physical, our vibration starts to raise. But because of what we go through, it can take a little while. Like from our perspective, it's a little while. On the other side, there is no time, but that immediate transition time, they can probably hover closer to the earth plane because they're still getting used to that vibration again. But you have to remember, whenever anybody comes to the earth plane, they've already been on the other side. It really isn't like, oh, now you're dead. I mean, we look at life in such a literal sense, like it begins at birth and ends at death. And then if you have a belief system for after death, then that's where we go. But I have a more holistic, universal sense of it, and it's also, and because I'm Buddhist, it's cycles, and we go to the other side, we come back, we live the life, then we go back to the other side. So it's not, so this life is the temporary thing, and of course there is universal life, and so we have a beginning and ending in the physical form, but the physical form isn't who we are. The energy that we have is who we are. We only relate to each other on the earth plane through the physical form. So really what we're mourning when people pass is the memories of their life on earth and the ability to physically touch them in this reality. But they're still around. They just don't inhabit that vehicle. It's like I'm looking at my car out the window. I'm not in that vehicle. I'm over here, but I can still see the vehicle, and that's what it's like. In my opinion, that's what it's like after death. And
you know what? I was born knowing that. I was born knowing everything that you said. But it's like, and I've had people close to me pass. The closest one was my father, but with my mom, it's so different. It's like put me in this confusion. I guess I'm so upset. And maybe even a little angry, too, because she's just, I can't see her. And I keep getting that confused.
Okay. Well, let me explain that to you astrologically real quick. And I can't take much longer, but I will explain that. So for your chart, Saturn falls at 9 degrees Capricorn in the last 7 degrees of your house of home and family. Your mom is I have parents in multiple places in a chart. They are where your moon is. They are where the 7th or 8th house is, depending on who you are and your relationship. In other words, I assign the kind of people that you attract romantically to the 7th or 8th, and those are your parents as well, because we express our relationship and the dynamic of our relationship with our parents through the partners we choose. So I see parents in the 7th and 8th. Mom is the 4th. Dad is the 10th. So they're in multiple places in a chart, but your mom, as the moon, is in the 4th house, which is the house the moon rules, and she's in Sagittarius. So she had to move on. Like that energy, you had Saturn transit that at the end of last year. Jupiter rules it. It's in the sign of death and rebirth, which is Scorpio right now. So there's a lot of energy around transits. What am I trying to say? Transformation, transition. And Saturn now going retrograde tonight is also going back towards your moon. So until Saturn gets out into your 5th house, you're going to be going back over the structure of the family life, and your mom was part of that, and she was late degree Sagittarius, so it's not surprising that it's still fairly fresh for you and you're still processing, because between December of last year when Saturn was on your moon in Sag and when he gets out of that house, you're going to be processing that information from her passing, and she is there, of course she's there. She wants to be near you. And I just heard something this week that was really fascinating to me about that process from another medium, and that is that we leave an essence of ourselves on the earth plane to be with our soul family, which is the people in our family, but also the people that matter to us in our lives. And it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who's a blood relative, like a husband or a close friend. But when we pass, like, there are essences that we leave in multiple places, that we're not just one complete entity, but we have essence that breaks off of us that's still part of that kind of soul personality, so to speak. So I think that's really a beautiful thought, to think that our loved one is still going to stay with us as long as we're in the earth plane on some level, in some essence of them, like conscious essence. So, I want you to think about that she's still around. She is still there, and she still knows what goes on with you. Yeah.
She
and
is.
That'll
she
happen.
communicates with me. And sometimes that is, I don't know how to handle that either. I know when she's around. She speaks through my mind. She gives me advice. It's just almost driving me nuts.
Well, I totally get that, because I remember a period of time where I was really hyper aware of spirit. It was kind of when it was an awakening for me to really like angels and the concept that there are actual entities on the other side that want to help us and can be a part of our lives in a positive sense. And I wouldn't say I was hearing voices, but it was like I would have repetitive thoughts that were like, do this, do this, do this. And it's like, okay, shut up already, and it's like you're aware that there is, it's not you, because when you have a thought, when you have an independent thought process and that impulse in your mind, it's you. And when there's something else that's just like, it's like an earworm when you hear a song over and over in your head and you're like, okay, I can't take it anymore. Stop it with that. And I will recommend to you and all the listeners, when you have a musical earworm, listen to the lyrics that are the ones that keep going over in your mind, because that's a message from spirit. It's like, I'm doing this because there's something that resonates to you that you need to get a message from. Pay attention to it. So, but for you, you'll have this until February of next year, because Saturn doesn't go into your fifth house till February of next year, mid-February. So look for Valentine's Day next year as a way to remember that. And then you'll probably wrap up a lot of these stories. And I can tell you, Saturn moving into your fifth house, you're going to want to be more around youth energy and then be the authority for youth, so that you're fed by youth. And I can tell you, my daughter's generation, she's 17, they love, and her older brother, too, the millennials, they love grandparents. Like the Capricorn energy in their chart coming up late 90s, that generation they want to connect to the elder generation and the ones who are in authority and have information. Do you feel that too? Because that's where you're going to be putting more energy. I have a 17-year-old grandson, and it's like they love me, they adore me, and they listen to me, and they really need my love. And I love them so much. We have such a beautiful relationship. So you confirmed something there. Yeah. Oh, no. And another thing I heard this week, and then I'm going to let you go. Another thing I heard this week, and it's something I've always believed, is that our soul group jumps a generation, and that the energy that comes in, how do I explain it? Not necessarily soul group, because our kids are a soul group, but the people that we were related to more closely, like brother, sister, or mother, father, are our grandchildren, and it skips the children. And I see this all the time in families where I relate more with grandparents and my grandmother as a connection than my mom per se, and that I'm looking forward to having grandkids, because I really believe that they're the ones who are going to go, oh, Grammy, I love you. I want to be with you.
Oh, yes. Mine adored me.
Yeah,
and they
my
feel
kids
too.
love their grandparents. Yeah, and I can't even believe the relationship my daughter has with her grandparents, because we live in the same city, which I never had as a child. I was never near. My grandparents lived 2 states away, But as an adult, I lived in Colorado, they lived in South Dakota, and I would go up and see them as much as I could. So I had a real strong relationship to my paternal grandparents. And I just look forward to that with my grandkids because I still have a close relationship with my daughter, but my son's kind of the Aquarian, often doing his own thing. So I look forward to the grandkids because I'm going to be all about the grandkids.
I
anyway.
am too from day one. It's more like they were my children. I feel more like a mother to them.
Yeah, that's and my aunt. I know she's listening now. She's kind of like that with her grandkids right now. So it like skips that generation, and so it's like every other one. And I think it's cool. I just wish for everyone to have that kind of connectedness to another human being. Because for me, I just so crave to have that closeness with the children. So. Awesome. Yes. Anyway, I wish you the best, Lenise. It's good to hear from you.
So great talking to you.
Aw, and listen again because when I get going, it's hard to take it all in. So that's why I record my readings.
Definitely.
So, take care.
I'm going to definitely record it and re-listen. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I'll continue to listen.
Okay, I'll just put you on mute. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's take 651. Hi, 651. Who is this?
Hi, it's Leslie.
Hi, Leslie. Have you called before?
No, but I've had an astrology reading with you before.
Oh, have you? Awesome. Okay, so let me ask, how is the last? I'm not going to look up your chart from that side of my file, so I'm just going to put you in again. Is it IE? How do you spell your
it's E-E.
Leslie? E-E. I thought so.
L-E.
I remember you. Yeah, I remember. So, but I'm going to put you in. This is my AstroEnergy file, so I'm just going to keep you here in case you call back there again. So it's easier to find you. And if you don't mind giving me your birth information, I'm sorry, I don't have it easily accessed. So go ahead.
September 1st, 1966.
Okay. And what time?
9:05 a.m.
Okay. And where again?
St. Paul, Minnesota.
Okay. Awesome. All right. What can I do for you today?
I'm just wondering, career. Like, is this a good time to start? I feel like I've been starting, but I don't have the momentum behind it. I'm wondering if that's going to shift for me.
Yeah, that's part of the Saturn energy right now. Again, we have this vision with Saturn, and for you have Saturn 2 degrees into your house of home and family. So honestly, for the duration of the next 2.5 years, a huge part of what you're doing has to do with being the stable person for the family. That's almost like a drive right now coming in for you. I don't know. Have you moved recently?
Nope.
You haven't? Okay. That's kind of surprising because when you have a major planet on the cusp of home and family, that usually triggers a move. But what were you going to say?
Well, 4 years ago I did. I guess that's kind of recent.
Okay. Well, that was interesting. So, that was when Saturn was going through your second house. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. And then also when Saturn went into Sagittarius, that is also selling a house. It's in the house of property and then selling a house. So I can see that too. But no, this is, it's a shift in physical structure around home and family. So I wouldn't be surprised if it comes up for you. And also you have Mars approaching Pluto in that same house right now. So it's a potential, just letting you know.
Okay.
And you're saying career. So you have a 27 Pisces Saturn in your chart right next to your moon at 25 Pisces. So that energy, Mercury just almost coming back to it's within, 7 degrees of your Saturn. That's also finding out how to take action to the next level. Neptune, it's still kind of far away from your Saturn. So let's see what else is triggering you. You actually have some positive energy coming in with Pluto, which is it's in sextile to your natal Saturn, and that's also a change. So what I see for you is what's going on with the home and family. And I'm going to preface this. Because Pluto is such a slow-moving planet, and it's going to be hovering around that sextile for a while, literally for probably till 2023. It's like maybe in 2024 when it moves into Aquarius, it's directly sextiling your natal Saturn. And because it's Capricorn, it's the structure of the family in positive aspect to what you want to do in the workplace, which is, by the way, the same energy as your career. You have Saturn in the workhouse. So that energy is huge for you to shift. But what's going to happen is the positive energy you're going to get from the shift you make around family and family life that Saturn's about to trigger is going to springboard your career in the way you need it to. Okay? They're very connected in your chart. So, yeah, Saturn coming up, let's see, it's going to be 2020. And I don't have the 2020 chart up. Let me look at it here in my other ephemera. So I have 3 different ephemera, I guess, whatever the word is. So because I've got the yearly one, the manual physical yearly one, and then the one up on the computer, and then I've got to go beyond that. So let's just look and see when Saturn moves out of there. So Saturn will be there until 2020, going through this house for you. So let's see, 7 degrees is February. Yeah, February of 2021 is actually how long it's in that house for you. So for that time, the career story for you is literally about understanding the dynamic in the family and your personal authority within it. And it can also strongly relate to your dad, even if your dad isn't around anymore. Is your dad still around?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. It's still about the dynamic of you to him and whatever story that was and what legacy he left you, because you're very much bringing that into your career and you're only just touching on it because Saturn at 9 degrees, the cusp of that house is 7 degrees Capricorn. So you've only had Saturn in there for 2 degrees. And you do have, I want to say potentially a sibling who is being difficult right now. Have you got do you have a sibling?
Yeah, I have 3 of them.
Okay, one or more, but one, definitely there is the storyline of a sibling who is being not nice. And that story is going to continue for a while because Vesta is at 3 degrees Capricorn, and it's going to be going into your house of home and family. So whatever storyline to go, well, that's my sibling and they're over there, is going to come into your and be part of an ongoing storyline for you.
Okay.
I see. I can tell you how long. Yeah, I'm not real familiar with the length of time Chiron transits, but I have heard that it's, what was it, 100 years since Chiron was in Aries, I think I heard this week. So it takes quite a while, like, to go through each particular spot. Yeah, and Chiron, let me see here. So this year, Chiron's literally going to go back into Pisces at 29. So it only goes about 1 or 2 degrees a year. So that's about right, I would guess. Yeah, about 10 years in a sign. So
okay.
You're feeling this. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Chiron. Vesta, I got the wrong one. Vesta. I'm so sorry. My asteroids are getting me confused. Okay, so yeah, Sagittarius. So it'll go back into Sagittarius this year and back into Capricorn, and then it gets to Aquarius. Okay, so this year Vesta is actually, it's going to be this year specifically that this sibling is going to be an issue. And then it goes into Vesta, moves into your 5th house, and it'll kind of move on. And then you'll have issues with kids. But for now, this particular sibling is the story of your year. Do you have?
Okay.
Did you feel that?
Not consciously yet. No.
Okay.
But
well, and it's literally that sibling is about 4 degrees away from going into your house of home and family. So they're still kind of doing their own thing off in the background because they're in the house. I mean, Vesta's in the house of siblings. Then it's moving into your home and family. So that is transiting in, and usually it's a female. I don't know if you have any female siblings, but usually it's a female. Okay. So you can expect that. So did I answer your question, or are we still not quite there?
I don't know. I guess like
you've been so you've been funky about your career. So part of that is that you have Saturn in Pisces. So you're going to be a little bit like that. And the fact that Neptune is now, it's been in 9 degrees, which is about 3 or 4 years. Neptune's been going into your house of work, which again is your career house. That's part of the story. But Neptune coming up on your Chiron, coming up on your moon, and your Saturn eventually, when it gets, it's still like 8 years away from that, but it's still in the house. That's really part of what you've been feeling, is that muckiness from Neptune in your house of work, and also in the same sign as your Saturn. That energy is there for a good long time, like a decade. So part of what the storyline with Neptune is that it's waking you up probably to your talents around reading people. It can be like medical intuitive. It can be even archiving, and I've said this before. Pisces is the energy of film and archiving things, so it can be writing stories, genealogy, taking photos of life histories. So there may be an expression if you want to try and express yourself through photography, through poetry. All of these means might help you focus what you want to do, but I also want to tell you, I'm a very strong advocate of the different signs and the different zodiac signs. Each have their own energy. And for you, Saturn and Pisces in retrograde is you are the energy of the ethereal, of the esoteric. And if you haven't recognized that, you've got Jupiter and also in a water sign up in your midheaven in Cancer, and that's in trine to your natal Saturn. So being a nurturer, being aware, and 3 planets, including the Sun, Pluto, and Uranus are in, those are the planets in your 12th house. Huge part of your chart. Oh, and you have Neptune in Scorpio. Huge part of your chart is about the intuitive, the unseen. And you only have, you have Mercury in Virgo in your 11th house, which is very big clarity energy. And also humanitarian and connectedness to networks. You have Venus in Leo, which is a fire energy, and Mars in Leo, which is fire. Other than that, everything else in your chart directly relates to water energy, nurturing, the 12th house, Pisces, everything. So that's pretty potent stuff. Like if you have not researched or explored the intuitive side of life, I would highly recommend it, because that's the story that you're getting here. And having all these planets, including Pluto, Saturn, Mars, going through your house of home and family, that's a water house. It's about water. It's about emotion. It's about understanding the depths. And I would do some research into intuitive things. Look at classes at Omega. I don't know where you live in the country. Are you still in Minnesota?
Minnesota, yeah.
Okay. Well, you could. I don't know what I know that there are different. What are they? I want to say Unitarian enclaves. I think Omega started out as a spiritualist movement, but that kind of educational thing, or even also, what I just got for you too, is the Edgar Cayce Center in Virginia. And you could look them up online, and there may be some online classes with that. But research, there's so many different areas in the psychic world you could glom onto. Everything from healing, which I would recommend for you because you have Saturn in the house of healing. Medical, health, and work are all in service. So if you do something related to medical, and on top of it you have 4 planets in Virgo, which is the same thing. So I would recommend something in healing arts for you. It could be massage, Reiki, anything like that, but it will enhance what you have. And your Saturn in Pisces, your moon in Pisces, you're lit up to do something with the psychic realm. That your chart, the trine in your chart is all water. It's a grand trine with water. So anyway, I hope that helps.
That helps.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. You're welcome. My pleasure. It's good talking to you again.
Yeah, nice talking to you. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. All right, that's the show for this week. My apologies to anyone who waited longer, and come early next week and we'll try and get a reading with you. So that's all. See you next week. Take care. Watch that Saturn return, or Saturn retrograde. Thanks for stopping by AstroEnergy this week. If you would like to get a hold of Shelley Overton, you can get her at astrologerangel.com, on Facebook at AstroEnergy, or Astrologer Angel. The music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com with additional music by Ironwood Rain. Check them out on the net at ironwoodrain.com. To subscribe, please click the picture of Shelley on the right or the red button below.